welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Today we're going to talk about the Westworld Season 4 premiere and then get into the 4th episode of Miss Marvel. And joining me today, we are all just non-player characters in his video games. It's Mo!
The crowd goes wild.
How you doing, Mo? Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
It's Mo, streamer.
Mo from Streamer. No, thank you very much for having me on again. I'm doing okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Talking about Miss Marvel, talking about Westworld, 2 episodes I quite liked. So that's nice. Always nice to talk about things you like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's the alternative.
Yeah, my day at work was busy, and then I had my half day today, and I only wound up finishing Miss Marvel half an hour ago, so it's still fresh in my mind.
That's good. I mean, you've not been here since the first episode, so I guess you have quite a bit to say on the show.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to keep Miss Marvel towards the end, because before all that, guys, I'm going to give you the things you guys always come here for. The admin is like, that's all everybody. If we had a YouTube section, that's all the YouTube comments would be. Where's the admin? So I'm going to give you the admin. If for some reason you're listening to our 4th episode on Miss Marvel and you don't know, we've been covering every episode this season with friend of the podcast, Farida, who's a big Kamala Khan fan. So please feel free to go back and listen to those episodes. Speaking of going back to listen, I had a couple of friends on Monday to discuss the big Herogasm episode of The Boys. So if you watch that show, please check that out. Mo, how far have you got in The Boys? Are you in season 2 yet?
I am waiting for season 2. I'm waiting till I've got 4 days off this weekend, so I'm going to just binge it all and then try and get it finished before the finale.
Oh, we're on 3 now.
Yeah, so I haven't seen season 2 yet, so my plan is to watch all of season 2 in a day and because I've got screeners of season 3 up to the finale as well. So my plan is to watch season 2 and then season 3 all.
So I'm
gonna race ahead and then
you're just gonna bang out 16 episodes in 2-3 days.
4 days.
That's good. Well, good luck to you.
I mean, there's more than 16. There's more than 16 hours in a day. So if I split that over 4,
that is true. But that's a lot of The Boys to consume in a day. I mean, that's it. Anyway, but look,
this is true. It took me what, like a week or like 2 weeks to watch season 1 because I was like, this is way too intense, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But and from everyone else, they were like, season 2 gets more. Season 2 gets more. Apparently, there's a lot more.
Oh, I mean, it just
keeps on getting. Yeah,
it just gets more. It just keeps getting more. The show just keeps on getting more. I mean, yeah. So, I'm really enjoying this season. Yeah, and guys, if you watch Better Call Saul or Barry or Atlanta, we've done some pretty good episodes on those shows in recent weeks. So feel free to check that out right there on our feed. And if you're listening on a podcast app that allows you to, e.g. Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us and tell your friends about this podcast and get them to rate and review us as well. It's very easy. Just click on 5 stars. It's super easy. And also please follow and subscribe to us, whatever platform you're listening on. That way you get notified when new episodes drop. For example, when Mo will be back in a week or so to discuss Stranger Things season 4 with us. You get that notification. And we're also going to cover Thor. We're probably going to cover The Boys season finale and maybe Westworld again at some point. So, just follow us. That way you get notified. So before we go into Westworld, guys, I take my recommendations very seriously, as you guys know from recommendation episodes. I like to recommend good TV shows to people. And I personally think I've just watched the best episode of TV I've watched in a very long time. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, and I don't mean it to, but that's actually how I feel. Unfortunately, it's neither Westworld nor Miss Marvel, 2 episodes I really, really liked, but I don't think people know about this show, and if you have the chance to watch it, please watch The Bear on FX on Hulu. It's a really good show. It's a half-hour show. All 8 episodes dropped last weekend, so essentially it's 4 hours worth of TV watching. It's created, mostly written and mostly directed by Christopher Storer, who has worked on your favorite things from Rami to Dickinson to Hassan Minhaj's Homecoming King and there's a Bo Burnham special. So it's really good. It's funny. It's basically what a half-hour comedy is nowadays, which is it's funny but also very, very real and very, very like it's in that FX mode of Rami and Atlanta and all that. So yes, please watch The Bear. What have you heard about The Bear?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it yet. I need to. It's on the list of things that I need to watch. But now I've got a backlog of things that I have to watch and review. So the things that are already out, I need to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got to find time to watch it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's the problem, right? It's the problem where you like. I mean, I don't want to sound like it's like you're trying to figure out things that you have to watch for work, and then things you have to just watch because you want to enjoy them. So,
well, yeah. So my thing is that I don't really review things that I don't want to watch. So that's why most of my reviews skew positively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of my reviews skew positively anyway. So if I get sent something and I think it looks really, really bad, I'll give the first episode or something a try. If I think it's still really bad, I'm just like, nope, forget it. I'm not reviewing it. It can sit in the inbox. And I just don't touch it.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I mean, we say on this podcast that like, or at least I say on this podcast that we're not critics. We're just like fans who enjoy things. I don't necessarily want to force myself to watch something I don't like just so I can give a critical opinion on that because like, no, I mean, I respect critics way too much to actually do that, like say I'm a critic.
Oh, no.
So at the same time, which is why, again, people on this podcast say that I've heard people say that we'll be like maybe talking about something that they haven't watched and we overhyped it, which is like, I get that because we're talking about a lot of things that we enjoyed and you get passionate talking about things you enjoy. And then if somebody hasn't watched it, they think you're overhyped. So I'm trying not to talk too much about The Bear. We'll talk about The Bear. I think we'll talk about it towards the end of the year when we're going like year-end lists and everything. But I would say everyone should check out The Bear. It's the episode I just watched. I don't know what episode it is, just so you don't like, you're not looking forward to that episode or whatever. But even at its bare minimum, it's just an entertaining show, which is obviously all you need. And then it then has something for everybody. So, I haven't even explained what the show is about. But the show is essentially set in this kind of kitchen at I don't know how to describe it because it's not like a chicken shop, but it's not no, it's not. That's what I was going to say. It's not a restaurant, but it's like this family owned. It's a beef shop, but I'm trying to describe how in context. It's not like it's not a Nando's, but it's also not just like a chicken shop on the side of the road. If that makes sense, it's like an institution of the community and whatever. Anyway, it's set in this kind of restaurant, and then this guy takes over it because his brother who owned it killed himself and then left it to him in the will. Oh, this is in the first 5 minutes, no spoilers. And then he wants to make this into, because he used to work at like a Michelin star restaurant. He is quite talented and everything. And he wants to make this into a proper kitchen and a proper restaurant and all that. So it has all the trappings of that whole, we've watched a few movies, I'm sure, about certain kitchens, about that whole trying to succeed as a top star chef and the pressures and all that, but also it really highlights what I like about it. It really highlights the creativity in cooking, which is just nice to see. But I don't talk about this on the Bear episode. I think everyone should please check that out. At the very least, I think you would enjoy watching it for 4 hours, even if you're not blown away like I was at some point. So I haven't even finished this season. So anyway, let's talk about Westworld, shall we? So Westworld returned after another 2-year break, 2-year hiatus for its season 4. I don't want, and this is going to sound very, very antithetical because we're talking about Westworld, but I don't want to go too in-depth into talking about the episode, like examining it, because again, it's just the first episode. And also, you have seen way more than I. How many episodes have you seen? Because obviously I know you got screeners. How many did they give? 6? 4? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
4, and I know exactly why they gave 4.
I assumed. Yeah, I knew HBO would not give out all 8, so that was never going to happen. So I thought it was okay. So you've obviously seen 4. I've seen 1. Unpopular opinion, I actually enjoyed season 3 of Westworld. Like, I wasn't over the moon, but I definitely hated the way people did. But where did you stand on season 3 of Westworld? Or rather, what are you of Westworld? Are you a fan of Westworld? Are you a hater of Westworld?
I'm a huge fan of Westworld. I really, really liked it. I still think it has the potential to become this next big thing that people are only going to just start to get into now. I watched season 3 because of like the time commitment, because I've spent seasons 1 and 2 and I want to try and figure it out as well when I'm watching it. But season 3 was the worst for me. So it was like season 1 was here, season 2, season 3, and
it just kept on going down.
And season 4 is up here with me.
So you're saying season 4 has got back to the highs of season 1?
100%.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
100%. Even just from the first episode. I've got my notes from episode 1.
It's a good episode. It's a good first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good first episode. We'll get to that in a second. But one thing I was thinking about while watching, and I'm sure there's an answer here, but I can't remember it, or I've skipped by it. I can't think of another show that has, and this is not a comment on its quality, but has reinvented itself the way Westworld has. Like, if I showed you a still of, if in 2016 when Westworld came out, I showed you a still of season 4, which was Aaron Paul and Thandiwe Newton in like a city, and I told you it was the same show as the Western we were watching in season 1, like, you'd be like, what are you talking about? This is not the same. Like, it's, whether I did it clumsily or not, I just found it very intriguing that the show we're watching now looks nothing like the show we're watching in season 1. But yeah, what were your thoughts on season 4 premiere?
So yeah,
without obviously going into the other 3 episodes.
No, I definitely won't go into the other episodes apart from at the end. But but I think season 4 it reminds me of why I fell in love with the show in the first place. Like, it's got that element of mystery to it. It's got the killer Ramin Djawadi killer soundtrack, his score.
Incredible.
Did you hear Video Games playing at the end by Lana Del Rey?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Lana Del Rey fan, so I didn't know what that was, but I heard later that was her song. So
I heard it, and then there's another really popular song that comes in one of the other episodes. It's really, really popular, but you know how each season they do a really popular cover? Like last season was Wicked Games by The Weeknd. Yeah. But yeah, so I think like thematically the season is about games. The season is all about you've got this whole idea of like now it's the whole world is a playground, trying to figure out who's the host, who's not the host. It's a little bit of a game like that, and then there's games being played within the games that I just think is really, really great. And there's an element of I think initially, like, the criticisms that I had with season 2 and season 3 was that they were too focused on trying to pull the wool over the audience's eyes, trying to keep the audience, trying to one up the audience and be smarter. But I think that this season takes it back a little bit and really reminds you why you really like the show in the first place, because you've got everything from Dolores, who now goes by Christina. Do you know the thing with Christina?
Well, here's the thing. So mostly because I was very busy, and I also just didn't want to know too much about like the show going in. I'd stayed away from all promotional material. I hadn't seen a trailer or anything. So even when, guys, by the way, spoilers for Westworld season 4 premiere. If you haven't seen it, there'll be spoilers. So even when James Marsden's Teddy comes back at the end of the episode, I was surprised because I didn't know that it had been announced that he was coming on. I didn't know that even Rachel Wood was going to be playing a new character called quote unquote Christina, who they all claim is a human. So I'm trying to actually I'm not going to watch the trailer. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to watch the show. Well, so I don't know anything about Christina. Back to the original question. I'm sorry for the long answer.
Yeah, there's nothing to do. It's nothing that's. It's not a spoiler thing. It's more of a thematic thing, because the character of Dolores initially in season 1 was based on this painting called Christina's World. And it's this girl who's standing in a farm.
Oh, okay.
It's this girl who's standing in a farm. So she was So that painting was an inspiration for the character of Dolores. So thematically, you're kind of taking Evan Rachel Wood's character back to her Dolores persona by linking her with that name Christina, which I think is really, really clever.
So was she an inspiration like to the writers like Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, or like in the world of Westworld, like to Arnold?
No, to the writers, to the show writers.
To the writers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the thing with Christina, so it's kind of like telling me as an audience member that they're taking you back to where it all started a little bit. Not obviously giving a lot away here, but they're trying to really kind of pull you in to remind you that this is Dolores, just in a different form.
Well, I mean, I think isn't the whole argument they've been making that this isn't Dolores, that this is a new character or human being maybe I shouldn't talk about this because you've seen the other 3 episodes.
Let's move on.
Okay. Just while we're on Christina stroke Dolores quickly, when Ariana DeBose came out, that was genuinely surprising to me. I mean, again, as someone who had not watched the trailers or anything, I was like, I did not know you were in this. It's obviously the best thing of Steven Spielberg's very good West Side Story. I was just like, I'm very happy to see you. How are you in watching mystery shows? Are you someone that's like, are you on the Reddits? Are you trying to like figure it out before the show? Are you like looking at all the clues?
Well, it's a little bit different now for me. I used to be on the Reddit, on the Westworld subreddit back when season 1 was premiering. And I used to want to try and figure out everything. Yeah. I used to follow all the theories, watch all the theory videos on YouTube, and I still do for a lot of shows just to see. But now, again, I don't want to sound like I'm showing off here, but if I get a bunch of episodes in advance, it makes it a little bit less interesting to engage with them. But there is a show that's on now called Only...
Well, because you know more than them, I guess.
Yeah, so I can't really engage with them. Because then I'll just look like a weirdo. But there's a show now called Only Murders in the Building. It's on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Yeah.
And that's a mystery show, and that's really good. So I like to try and figure out all the clues on that. It's a murder mystery.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I'd recommend watching it if you're taking recommendations on that. But
yeah, I don't really care about solving the mystery. I stopped caring a long time ago, if that makes sense. I used to maybe... I guess when I was watching fewer shows, I would go and watch all the YouTube videos and read all the things. But like now, I kind of want the show to show it to me. I don't want to figure it out. And which I guess which probably explains why I would like a thing like maybe Westworld season 3 in the moment. Cause I'm not thinking about the mystery too much. But then when I go back and think about what was that season, it kind of falls a bit more flat in my estimation and everything. But yeah, I've said it before, like, on all kinds of mysteries, either it's like, for example, Only Murders or even Big Little Lies or any other thing. I always like to assume that the writers are smarter than me. So I try not to think about the solution and just let them give it to me. And then if it's bad, then when you give it to me, I'll decide that it's bad.
See, my thing is a bit different from that because from my perspective, if I can figure out the mystery before it's revealed to me fully or before the show tells it to me, then it means that I've got more of a connection with the people, with the creatives behind the show, and I'm more inclined to watch something so I can pick up on their styles and different techniques that they'd use.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it makes It makes engaging with the show a lot better, and it makes watching it a lot better of an experience for me. But obviously, if you just want to turn your brain off and just watch something to be entertained, then that's like ideal.
Yeah, I like to like theorize. Maybe if I'm talking to somebody about something. Speaking of mystery shows, I think I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but if you haven't watched Yellow Jackets, please go watch Yellow Jackets. It's quite fun. I don't know, I just came randomly to my mind. I described it like Pretty Little Liars meets Lord of the Flies. Please check out the show. It's really, really fun and really, really like, yeah, everybody there is really good.
Sorry, just to say, I'm glad you recommended Yellow Jackets because I'm just starting to watch it now. I've got Paramount Plus, and it's all on Paramount Plus. So I'm just starting to watch it now. And
how far have you got?
It's on my watch list.
So you're revving to start.
Yeah.
Yellow Jacket. Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, so we don't see either Charlotte Hale, played by Tessa Thompson, or Bernard, played by Jeffrey Wright in this episode. We see Ed Harris's William, who I just immediately assumed was the host William, but I don't know, there's some debate about that online, it seems like. Again, obviously you've seen more episodes, so keep quiet. I guess I don't want to go too much into this episode because, like, again, with Westworld, it's the first episode, is table setting, a lot is going on that you might not even, there's might be no point to theorize because, like, next week we'll just find out that we're completely wrong, so what's the point?
I want to say something quickly. Do you remember season 1 where, I don't even remember his name now, but it was William's brother-in-law was saying choose white or black, the hat?
Logan, yeah.
Yeah, and you're saying choose the white hat or the black hat in the train. And then you get Christina in this episode, and she's asking white or black dress. So there's a little bit of a parallel there, and she chooses to go with the light as opposed to William, who went with the black hat. Yeah,
I mean, there's also William goes with white, doesn't he, at the beginning of when he's first in the
he chooses. he eventually chooses black, doesn't he?
Yeah, eventually, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't think the use of flies, for example, was a mistake. I think that's meant to echo season 1 about how the hosts wouldn't even hurt a fly, and then so maybe either the hosts are now using the flies as their method of whatever they're doing with the flies, taking about humans' brains. I don't know. They'll tell me when they want to tell me. But what did you like from this episode? What were your notes on this episode?
My notes go: white or black Dolores, pick a side Christina, everyone dies. Christina pitches stories. Oh wait, no, she designs games. So she's designing games.
So these notes are going on. These notes are happening in real time as you're watching the show.
Yeah, I literally that's how I watch shows now. I just have my notes app open and I'm like, oh wait, no, oh this, oh wait, and then there's a lot of swearing because it's just my internal monologue
Fair enough.
going out to my phone. Yeah, so the overall theme of the episode is the theme of the season is games.
Mm-hmm.
It's this cat and mouse game that Dolores is playing, or Christina is playing with William, and there's this element that, and you're not too sure how it's all going to come together and what's all going to happen.
Yeah, I really like Maeve's new role as the retired assassin stroke spy who has to be pulled back out for one last job. Like, she was like, I was in my cabin, I was in something for 7 years and you guys have come, and I like that now. Okay, I don't talk too much about this episode because I don't want to tempt you to. Also, honestly, I don't even know how to talk about this episode, which is probably why, I'm just I don't know, how do I talk about this without, in a way that satisfies both my mental curiosity and also just lets me have it. Let the creators give it to me the way they want to give it to me. But bottom line, I really enjoyed this episode. That doesn't mean much from me because I enjoyed season 3, but this definitely felt like, even as someone who liked season 3 while it was happening, I know that there were problems with season 3. I know where I went back to rewatch the finale and I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel right. Some parts here feel a bit not good. So I understand that. And I think this episode definitely felt like almost like a reboot of sorts. I mean, I mentioned how I felt like the show was reinventing itself, but it definitely felt like it was table setting. It was 7 years, 8 years, time has passed, and then it's just, so it felt like a fresh start.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if I could sum up this episode and this season in one word, it's restrained.
That's good. That's very good. If someone managed to restrain a Nolan that's very good. I'm very happy about that.
It's very, this episode alone should teach you, they're not trying to fool you or anything like that. They're just trying to slowly welcome you back into the world. And you can tell that they had to, that they took their time and they really thought about the story first and then the twists and whatever. And they thought about where these characters are going to be, where everything, how everything's going to come together. They really thought about all of that.
Yeah, and it's Westworld. It's from the brain, or at least half of the brain of a Nolan. There are going to be twists, and I want the twist. I like the twist, but your stuff can't be only twist. It still needs to have some substance to it.
I am going to give you a tease.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I said, yeah.
Here's the tease.
Okay. We
are in the golden age of television once again.
Does that mean Anthony Hopkins is coming back? What does that?
That just means that we're in the golden age.
Okay, and that's your tease for what, the next 3 episodes of Westworld?
That's my tease for the season.
Okay. Anyways, just so cryptic. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Mo and I are on the plane, and we're heading to Karachi. It's my first time. So, we'll be right back to speak about Miss Marvel. And we're back, and we're talking about episode 4 of Miss Marvel, titled Seeing Red, written by Sabira Pisada and A.C. Bradley and Matthew Chauncey, and directed by Shamin Obeid Chinoy. This episode finds Kamala in Karachi, in Pakistan, trying to figure out, to meet her grandmother and trying to figure out what all this Bangle thing is about, right? What's all this Bangle mess about? Let me ask you this as a combined question, Mo, because you've not been on since the first episode. What do you think of the show so far? And then what do you think of this episode?
Okay, so the show so far, episode 3 I think episode 3 is still for me, it was the best out of them
Mm-hmm.
because I really liked episode 2 out of 1 and 2, and I liked episode 3. I think it goes 3, 2, 4, 1,
Okay.
and I really liked episode 1
Mm-hmm.
as a whole. So it just like speaks to how good I find the show. I think episode 4 in particular was really interesting as far as it was like the world building episode or the backstory episode.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, but I also think that episode 5 and 6, episode 5 is going to be more of a backstory because we're getting a bit of a hint that maybe this whole idea of jinn and these people in the Noor dimension it could all just be a bit of a farce. Like it could just all be lies. We're getting a bit of those hints.
A misdirect, you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, so you think that they're actually not, that is what is actually no Noor dimension? They're all from Earth, or what do you think?
Well, I think that I don't know if this is a new theory or whatever, but it's basically my theory is that it's the Kree that have taken these people as like to do experiments on them, taken these humans to do experiments on them, and have, because we saw in Captain Marvel, right, that the Kree can implant false memories.
Mm-hmm.
So the Kree has likely made these people believe that they're from the Noor dimension, or from this thing called the Noor dimension, and that will explain their enhanced powers. But in actual fact,
yeah,
and I do think it's leading up to this whole thing of Inhumans.
Do you know what I forgot about? I forgot that this had to connect to Captain Marvel in one way or the other. Like, I completely, when you said Kree, I was like, oh, yes, that's right. She needs to make sense for Captain Marvel to be involved in this. Like, I was so on board with the whole Jane and Noah thing that, like, I completely just forgot that, like, no, we have to understand why Brie Larson is here in the first place. That's interesting. I'm a bit worried about that. How will that land?
Well, I think it'll land a lot better than the Jin thing is landing, because the Kree, the things with the Kree is that it links to the Inhumans, and that's the big thing about her character, is that she's an Inhuman. But the other thing with the Jin is that some Muslims have rightfully said that it's not right to have the first Muslim superhero from Marvel be related to this mythical or this mythological being in Islam called Jinn. So some people have said that that's not right. I don't see a problem with it, but some people have seen an issue with it, and I think that there's such a diverse Muslim team behind Miss Marvel that they wouldn't want to do something that would potentially upset. So I believe it is a misdirect.
Yeah, I mean, last week we did. I spoke about that with Farida about how I from what the little I could find out or little I could see, it seemed like some people were not, like, people weren't totally on board with the whole Jane thing. And she said, like, she kind of echoed your sentiments as well. She didn't see a problem with it, but she understood why people might take issue with it. What I think is, because in this episode, her grandma does mention, like, which is something Farida kind of mentioned last week, was about how that the Janes are not necessarily just bad people. And I think Farida's way of explaining was like, they're humans, like, some are good, some are bad, and everything. I mean, again, like, I feel like you said, such a diverse group of Muslims behind this. I feel like they would be smart in doing something like this. You can't,
definitely.
Yeah, you can't overestimate Charmaine Obey-Chinoy, who's the director's, like, qualifications for this. Like, she is an Oscar and Emmy-winning director who primarily focuses on, like, documentary work based in Pakistan, and, like, so, like all art is good, but, like, or rather important, but, like, important art, like actual documentaries about people that are struggling. So, like, you want to believe that she wouldn't take on a subject like this if they weren't doing it justice, or they weren't doing right by the Pakistani people and by the Muslim people. That might be me just trying to find something to latch onto, and I guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks if I'm just hoping or not. But yeah, it's like, would she, after all the work she's done and all the documentaries she's made, would she now come and do a show that basically makes light of Muslim mythology or Muslim history or whatever? So it's interesting. I completely forgot about the Kree thing. I forgot about that. So that's I just forgot.
Yeah,
I forgot that, like, Kreese and had to be involved.
No, I know, and
I don't know if it's maybe it's as obviously as a Christian watching. I just taking everything they gave me like face value. I was like, oh yeah, she's a Jane. She'll end up being a good Jane. Maybe Aisha was a good Jane. I was like, okay, like I just forgot that the Kreese had to play a part in this one way or the other. That's yeah, my mind broke for a second there.
Yeah, and I think going back to the Muslim team handling it with care and sensitivity, it's not that it's disrespectful or inappropriate to talk about jinn. It's just that it's such a weird topic to have brought up that, like, obviously for Kamala, it's like it's a thing of her nightmares. But for a lot of other Muslims, it's this thing of mystery. So it's a very, very weird thing to have brought up if it wasn't a misdirect. But I also think it serves as an important part of education as far as Islam goes, which I believe is the reason that it's done in the show. But I could be wrong again on that. I don't know. But I do think that it's really, really interesting to hear other people's perspectives on it. But as far as theorizing goes, I think that the Kree thing is what I'm latching onto here, because the Kree have to, because this has not only got to link to Captain Marvel, the first one, it's got to link to the next Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It's called the Marvels, and it's got to link to Secret Invasion.
Why doesn't it link? Is there a character going from here to Secret Invasion?
Well, it's the whole thing of Skrulls versus Krees. There's the Kree-Skrull war that's going on.
Yeah.
So Secret Invasion is all about how there's different skulls that have infiltrated Earth.
Yeah.
So it's whether or not there's going to be. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch, to keep an eye out for. But as far as like a rating for this episode, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, like, anyone who listens to this podcast know we don't usually rate, so I'll take an 8. Like, yeah,
okay.
it is good. Like,
okay, fair enough. I did think that the editing was a bit choppy in this episode. Like, I thought the green screen was a bit bad. But there were times when I was just watching it with my mum now, and I was like, oh, green screen. When she and her grandmother were standing on her
grandma,
with
that wasn't good. So obviously I know they didn't shoot this. I don't think. Well, no, I know. I'm assuming they didn't shoot this in Pakistan. But like, where did they shoot? I thought like where they shoot the exteriors and stuff.
I believe they shot in Thailand, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sequence on the roof was rough. Was very similar to the car one in the first episode. Can I say something that like I didn't like about this episode? And I was surprised by this reaction. I actually really missed Bruno and Nakia. And I was surprised about I mean, I like Nakia, but I was surprised I would miss them. So, and I was thinking about this, I think I missed them because I missed their interactions with Kamala.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's interacting with a lot of adults this episode, and then Red Dagger Kareem, but really mostly adults. And I missed that kind of jovial interactions that she had with Bruna and Nakia. I actually I felt it missing in this episode.
See, for me, I didn't miss it because I thought that this episode was more adult than the previous episodes. Like, now she's stepping into the real world as this superhero. Like, you literally saw her building her costume with this with her little mask and then this cardigan thing that she's So you're seeing her step into this thing as into the real world. So having bringing it back to these conversations of like a petty childhood, like a petty like school fight with very zero real world implications.
Yeah, Mo, that's a great point. But I don't want the adult show. I was in love with the coming of age show. I was nestled. I was warm. I was happy with my coming of age breakfast club. So you're making a great point, but I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. I'll shut up on mute.
No, I liked this episode a lot. And I'm just saying, like, it's just like, I was like, oh, I missed this entire. I missed that whole. I just miss the, like you said, the younger, the more adolescent side of Kamala in this episode. Do you want to talk about Kareem and Waleed, or do you want to just skip all of that? I don't have thoughts. I don't have lots of thoughts on that whole thing.
Well, the whole thing with Kareem Red Dagger is that he is a love interest for Kamala, and they set it up very early on. They had that bit of banter between them. and the whole conversation about the scarf covering his big mouth and stuff like that. Like you could tell that they're trying to set it up, which is fine. But I think that more needs to get. I think that they need to just forget about the romance for a little bit and just focus on telling her story instead of her story as it relates to another man or another boy, because the first 3 episodes were defined by her relationship with Kamran. Now the next 3 episodes are going to be defined by her relationship with Kareem, which I don't like.
Okay, I understand that point. That's a valid point, but I guess in defense of the writers, you can say that they didn't necessarily. Yes, they pitched them as having banter in this episode, but they didn't necessarily like say this is going to be romantic. Like when Cameron came into this show, we're like, oh, this is a love interest, right?
Okay, yeah.
Kareem basically almost it feels more like Bruno in the way like they do like as someone who's watched more than one TV show in your lifetime or read a comic, like you know where the end goal is, yes, but like it's not written like that in this episode. It's not written like, oh, love interest. It's just like here's a guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I think it's just because I know Kamala's story and I know Red Dagger as character, so I know he's going to be the love interest eventually. Whether it comes back for that second season to explore more with him or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
I can't wait to ask Farida what she thinks about Kareem Red Dagger, because if you've been listening, I
can't wait to hear Farida's thoughts.
Her main issue with Kamran is his British accent, so I wonder if that softened in terms of Kareem. Anyways, but let me not speak on her behalf. So the end of this episode ends with, has she gone back in time via the Bankole? Is that what we're meant to take?
I believe it's I think it's a mind thing. It's a vision that she's seeing in her head.
So she's not actually there?
That she's experiencing. I don't think she's actually there, no.
Yeah, no, can I just say that I found that whole sequence very, very affecting. I don't know if I can't tell you why. Maybe it's the mindset I was in when I was watching the episode, but that whole thing, when she goes in, just the hubbub of the train station, the little conversations we hear from all the family members, like people that can't travel with their family members because they're old or ill, and people that are never going to see their family members ever again. And then when they do that, when she goes on the train and do that whole expansive shit, I don't know if that's CGI or those are all actually people there, but to me, I was very affected by it. Just like, I think, obviously, as someone who grew up in Nigeria, I can imagine a situation like that in Nigeria. Obviously, not to that extent. Like, partition is something that very few people can have had experience about or with. So, like, it's like, I found it very affecting just to see all that and see the way the actions of, like they said, one British man in a room or a couple of British men in a room affecting so many real life people that are never going to see their family members again. I just found that sequence really, really affecting, and whatever I was trying to do, it did it on me. So yeah, I liked that whole moment in the episode.
Yeah, I think this episode for me was a bit of an emotional roller coaster. From the moment that she's on the plane, because I go visit. I don't know if you visit your family in Nigeria often, but I go visit my family in South Africa often, and it's that flight. Then when you get off the flight, it's the middle of the night or whatever, and then you've got your family waiting for you. And then you go to the house after a long car journey, and then you see everyone there, all your cousins are there, your mum's telling you, let's go and visit, and you're like, I'm so tired, I just want to sleep.
It rang very real. Everything just felt real. There's nothing...
Yeah,
like 100%.
So as far as an emotional episode for me, this episode, and it started emotionally and it ended very emotionally. So I think it did, as you said, it did its job correctly. Its job is to make us feel. And that's what I'm saying about this episode, was that this episode was the adult episode. Like, you could tell tonally that the episode was 100% aimed at people, like older people, or like the older audience, because it's her getting into the real world horrors of her life, her history. And I thought it was handled really well. Really
I mean, it's not a coincidence that this is the episode that Shamin is directing. You understand why they would give someone of her pedigree and her history this kind of episode to deal with. I've mentioned before on this podcast how, for me, episode 5 of Marvel shows are going to become my finale, because to me they're always the best episode, and then episode 6 ends in a big CGI fight. It's possible that will not be the case in Miss Marvel, because there's a big CGI monster knock on wood. But like you said, if episode 5 itself is another 10% episode, but maybe it's not my finale. Maybe it's an episode for an actual episode 6 finale. I don't know. But I would presume that episode 5 is going to be pretty emotionally, just from where we finished episode 4, I feel like episode 5 will have a lot of emotional baggage to deal with. So that could be, I'll be surprised if she doesn't come across Aisha or her grandmother. Like that would be very surprising if that doesn't happen. So, So yeah, I'm putting like my finale, like I said, my MCU finale, episode 5.
My theory for episode 5 is that it's going to be her mother finding out, or her family finding out that she is Miss Marvel, or she is Nightlight. And then it's going to be Najma and the rest of the clandestine. There's going to be a reveal. I'm hoping that it's going to reveal that she's an Inhuman, or she's a Kree experiment rather than an Inhuman, or like genetically, like Aisha was a Kree experiment, for instance, maybe. But that's what I'm hoping that it reveals, so that it gets all of that out of the way in episode 5, so that episode 6 can be the confrontation and it doesn't have to do the reveals or anything like that. No more reveals. And then just episode 6 is the nice confrontation, and then a nice little coda at the end with either Mr. Wilson being a Skrull or Captain Marvel coming down.
Why Mr. Wilson?
Oh, have I not told you this?
No.
My theory is that Mr. Wilson is a Skrull. I don't know why.
It's just your theory. You have no reason, just him.
It's because he's sort of, so the previous Skrulls that we've seen in Marvel, they've all been basically like quite close to the protagonist. So you had obviously you had all the ones in Captain Marvel, and then you had Ben Mendelsohn Talos, who was quite close to Nick Fury. Then you have the Skrull that we saw in WandaVision, who was like a friend of Monica's mother.
But she was just a random agent, though.
Yeah, but on a personal level, I think like Mr. Wilson, like the Skrull is nice. The Skrulls are quite nice to the protagonist, and I think that he's going to be the one that recruits. He's going to be the one that recruits her up. And also, Skrulls are all about double identities, right?
Yeah.
So this was like the weirdest theory I've ever had. But remember at the start when Mr. Wilson says that his dad had his name as well?
Yeah.
His dad's name was like Gabe Wilson as well. So I was like, that's a bit of a double identity thing going on there, a double name thing. Yeah. It's like English lit teacher level of reading.
Yeah, you're fully in your Westworld bag right now. Like you're still thinking about Westworld. Well, your nice point is important and interesting, because my suggestion was going to be Diva, but your nice point negates that. So maybe we'll see. I should know this, and I don't know why I don't know this, but I'm sure you would know this. Which comes out first? Secret Invasion of the Marvels?
I believe Secret Invasion has got 4 months left of filming, and it's got 4 months left of reshoots, but they're not taking place like 1 month after the other. They're taking place like all at different times. So I believe they're trying to aim for Secret Invasion to come out early next year, and the Marvels will come out in July.
Okay.
Because I think Secret Invasion is trying to set up the scene for this Kree-Skrull war.
And Monica is going to be in Secret Invasion?
We don't know. We don't know that she's going to be in it. But we do know that... I don't actually know what we know. All we know about Invasion is just the cast, right? Which is Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Emilia Clarke, Olivia Colman. Jesus, what a cast. Kingsley Ben-Adir, I think. Kobe Smulders, obviously. Is there someone else I'm missing? Yeah.
That's a ridiculous cast. But I think, because obviously at the end of WandaVision, that Kree agent, what does she do? She points up, doesn't she? She like says up, which obviously I believe was a reference to, it was No Way Home. Sorry, Far From Home, where you see Nick Fury in the spaceship. So I assumed Monica Rambeau was going to meet Nick Fury up, essentially. So all that to say that maybe the post-credit scene we do get in this scene is not one of Brie Larson, but maybe one that carries Kamala to Secret Invasion. But maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too much work for her. I don't know.
No, see, that's what I think. That's what I thought the post-credit scene. I think there's going to be 2. The first one's going to be finding out Mr. Wilson's a Skrull and saying that Nick Fury wants to meet her. I'm sticking to that, by the way. I am sticking to that.
That's good.
And then the second one is going to be her. Meeting Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, in the space station.
Oh, so she would go, like, so Mr. Wilson would take her to the space station.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what I think it is. I'm probably just being like, hopefully, like, I don't know, hopeful optimism. I don't know, hopeful optimism.
Hopeful, wishful, maybe all of them. I don't know.
Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
That's it. But yeah, that's my theory. I'll come back here in 3 weeks and figure out if I'm right.
Yeah, well, yeah. Do you have any 2 weeks actually? It's almost there. Only 5 and 6 left.
2 weeks, yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on Miss Marvel or even like Westworld? Anything we haven't mentioned before we wrap up here?
I just think that Miss Marvel is consistently the best Disney Plus show. MCU Disney Plus show consistently for me. I think that.
I don't.
For me, it is.
I think it's too soon for me to go. No. I guess it's definitely up there for me. I think it's been the best in a while. Definitely.
Yeah, but I think it's as I said. I think it's at the very start when I first came on this podcast. One of the first things I said was that Miss Marvel is a show that understands how to do episodic storytelling. So it has like each episode is pretty self-contained, but there's an overarching storyline. So you had the first episode, which was getting her powers. The second episode, which was learning how to use them. Third episode was the wedding. Fourth episode is Pakistan. Fifth episode will be Pakistan Part 2. And then the sixth episode will be back to Jersey. So I think it's like it. So you can pick and choose. Like it's going to be an easy show to just dip in and out of.
Thank you very much for coming on board, Mo.
Thank you for having me.
Talking about this was a last minute call up, so thank you for agreeing to do this.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I'm very, very glad to be your last choice.
Yeah. Well, last is a bit harsh. There was one more person below you, so last is a bit.
Okay, right.
Second to last. Come on.
Second to last. Oh my god, that's.
I respect you. Come on.
Oh sure. Okay. Awesome.
Anyway, so guys, I mean, not like I feel like anyone has this episode. You're here because of Mo, but if you're not, please check out his platform, Streamer. That's STREAMR. On Twitter, it's Streamer. He's Mo from Streamer. I believe they're on Instagram now.
We are on Instagram. That's at Streamer News. So same on Twitter as well. Yes, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, check that out. And then they have a new podcast, which is What's Streaming now. What's streaming?
I'm not in charge of that. That's someone else's thing. You can get Josh on the podcast at some point.
Oh, I mean, Josh is always welcome on the podcast.
It's his baby. But yeah, I think yeah, you can just find me on Twitter, Mo from Streamer, Streamer News, and yeah, we'll just keep on covering things that are streaming. Hopefully, if we don't lose our press access.
Oof, jeez, knock on wood. There's a weird stranger who looks very much like James Marsden standing outside our window, so we have to head out. So please check back in with us next week when we'll be joined by Daniel Kaluuya. Bye, guys.